You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Hey, this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And welcome to the Snob OS show, the show for Apple snobs where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody, to this week's show. We're going to do a little rundown of what you can expect this week before we get into the show. So, Apple announced this fall event. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what to expect, what we hope to see, and what we think about what's coming down the pipeline. I'm not a huge fan, as you know, of Apple invites, but they are trying. We'll get into that. And Elon Musk finally followed through on one of his threats as it relates to Apple and OpenAI. Social security numbers are basically our identification here in this country, and we might all need to get some new ones. Also, Cracker Barrel was in the news, and not for their pancakes, but for the way they look. And rounding it up, we're going to close it out with our hookup, where we're going to talk about some promotional messages that Apple usually shares. So with that, before we jump into it, seriously, we want to take a quick second to say thank you all for your continued support, for being with us, hanging with us, rocking with us on this show, for all the time that we have been airing it, showing it, sharing it. There are a couple things you can do to continue to support it just outside of listening. You can also watch our show. You can also rate and review our show on a couple different platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And also, if you want to become one of our patron supporters, who we call Snobbits, you can head on over to patreon.com/SnobbleScast to find out all the details on how you can watch the show live and get some exclusive content. All right, let's jump into this week's show. We're going to kick it off with the lowdown, where we talk all things Apple. So, the Apple event, the fall Apple event, which is known as basically the iPhone event, has been officially announced. It is called Awe Dropping, and it will take place on Tuesday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. This event will be pre-recorded, so it will not be a live event. It will be pre-recorded with some media in attendance during the airing of the pre-recorded event up at Apple Park in Cupertino. And of course, as always, the event will be live streamed on apple.com, YouTube, and in the Apple TV app. So now that we finally have the date and we have the graphic, usually the graphic kind of clues us in to what to expect. The event name usually kind of clues us in what to expect. What do you think of the All Dropping title and the graphic that they dropped? Do you think is it giving you any obvious hints as to what we can expect?
No. It looks the logo looks infrared.
Yes.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that alludes to or anything like that. So I see the infrared logo. I don't know what the awe dropping is. I don't know what that alludes to. But yeah, I don't know. I do not look too deep into the Apple invites as some others, but I can see looks infrared. You can tell me what that means or not.
Yeah, and typically you can kind of guess as to what might be happening, but this, I don't know. And the first thing when I saw it, I was like, this looks like heat seeking. This looks like
there you go.
When your body temperature is up and you're scanning like a room and you're trying to see if anybody's in there. It's like the heat map. It's like heat seeking, like, oh, there's a person.
Has something to do with the Apple Watch sensor.
I guess. I don't
Mhm,
know. That's what my thought was. I was like, maybe um we knew they talked about the blood oxygen
mhm.
release. Maybe we're getting a new Apple Watch with some sort of sensor, but this event is the iPhone event, right? And this doesn't have anything to do with liquid glass that, they've been kind of touting. So I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I was just like, I'm just going to kind of see what happens.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
because otherwise, I was like, this to me makes no sense. Maybe once we get to the event, it's like, oh, okay. But right now, it's like, huh? Um, Outside of that, again, I mentioned this is typically the iPhone event. We're up to iPhone 17. What do you think? No, I'll ask you first. What do you hope you see before we get into what we think we'll see?
Uh, Definitely want to see some new AirPods Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know if that's gonna be in this announcement. I think historically it has been, I don't remember, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely looking forward to some new features with the AirPods Pro because mine are pretty old and one
Mm-hmm.
of them sometimes charges. I gotta make sure they're both securely and snugly in there before they charge, so definitely need to look into upgrading to some newer AirPods, and I like the AirPods Pro, so I'm gonna keep those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see if the rumors are true, and they all but say they are. This iPhone 17 Air,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean in the lineup? Is that we already know it's thinner, but what does
Mm-hmm.
that mean as far as screen size? What does that mean as far as battery life? What does that mean as far as the camera features? The 17 Pro or the Pro and the Pro Max models typically tout the better camera.
Mm-hmm.
I have the 16 Pro Max. I really don't need the camera that much. I don't really need the pro. I really don't need the pro camera version that much. In the past,
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like, oh, I'm the main photographer of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure I have the best camera to catch those quote unquote candid moments. The candid moments I've caught really the camera really wasn't like, oh, this is a great picture because of the
Right.
iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Right.
So if the camera is decent in the air and the battery life is decent in the air, I may look into it, depending on the style and things of that nature. So I'm really looking to see what the Air offers as far as features comparison
Mm-hmm.
to the Max model, the Pro models, and then just the regular models. And then I'm probably going to keep my Apple Watch Ultra too. I got the black version, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably going to keep that. And then I'm looking for AirPods Pro.
Yeah, I was just when we were getting ready for the show, I was looking at my case and I was like, my God, I really hope we get some AirPod Pro 3
Hmm.
because I talked about it before. I've washed this case and I got the AirPods back working because the case and the AirPods went through a wash cycle, and I
Hmm.
had to go and kind of look up on the YouTube to see how to get the water out. So we
Hmm.
got the water out. The thing with my case is it won't charge through the USB-C port. I have to use the
The
watch
wireless.
charger
Oh, yeah.
to charge it. And just looking at this case, looking at the AirPods, I was like, it's time. Like when I put, one of them in and it does like the suction, it kind of makes this noise. And I'm just like,
Mhm. Oh, what is
is
that?
it the AirPods or is it just the way they're going in my ear? And it happens frequently. So I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. They're still working. So I'm going to go with it. So I definitely hope we get those. I have the iPhone 16 Pro. I Right now, I don't really see a need to get the new iPhone 17 unless they wow me. What
Mhm,
I'm really concerned about is I always get the gold color
mhm,
iPhone,
mhm.
and it looks like, according to rumors, that gold is out and orange is in.
Orange?
Orange.
Hmm.
And so I was like, So
S
that's
Mhm.
definitely making
In
me
in place of the
think,
gold,
what?
huh?
Right.
Mm,
So you have your what is it? The space gray,
and the white.
the white, and the black, and then this orange.
Mm.
And I was like,
Well, it looks like a. I'm looking. I'm blue. Yeah, no, I don't like it. I
yeah,
was gonna say
it's like
maybe it was a.
orange, orange.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe a burnt orange, but no,
Mm-mm,
or metallic orange, but no, it's.
mm-mm.
We'll
Orange, orange.
we'll have to see. We'll have to
Yeah.
see.
So I don't know. I have the latest I think the Series 10 Apple Watch.
Hmm.
So I don't foresee wanting to get a new one unless, if this got infrared on it, like what is this heat seeking gonna
Maybe
do?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. So, and what I am interested to see the Air, even though I've been against it since the first rumors started coming out. That they outlined already is the battery life is going to change. The way the antenna goes is going to change because it's so thin. You can't have the standard antenna, so it's going
Hmm.
to run possibly on a different type of network that's not
Hmm.
going to give you the full range of what we have now. And I was like, so is the Air going to replace the SE? But the SE is kind of like the budget version.
I'm gonna replace the
So
plus
the Plus.
because
Oh,
the
you think
plus.
it's going to replace the Plus?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you'll still have the standard iPhone,
Hmm.
then the Air, and
Hmm.
replace and substitute for the Plus, then the Pro, the Pro Max, and then
Hmm.
an SE. Interesting.
Maybe not even SE. Well, they may not announce SE in September. They may announce it in March.
March, right.
Hmm.
But for the main one, it'll just be those four.
Hmm.
And that's, I guess we've already gone into what you think we'll see. Um, so of course, the iPhone is a given. Um, I don't know if anything else is a given or not. I don't know if Apple Watch is a given. I don't know if AirPods Pro
You mean
are a
like what they're
given.
going to announce on in September at this
Yeah,
event?
what they're going to announce,
It'll
right?
be
So
it'll
I
be
guess I guess what do you think we'll actually see outside of the actual new iPhone 17? And we talked
uh
about the Air, the standard, and the Pro and the Pro Max.
yeah, well they'll have the Apple Watch Series 11 and maybe an Ultra 3 and then the AirPods Pro, and I think that's it outside of the iPhone 17s.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were going to see an Apple Watch
Yeah,
update.
yeah, they'll drop a Series 11.
Interesting. Interesting. Especially since they just got this blood oxygen thing, I guess,
Somewhat
working
worked out.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's interesting. So I'm thinking this event may be an hour, if that,
Yeah.
especially since it's pre recorded. They probably already edited and sliced it and diced it. So it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Oh, the new chip, not for the processor, but for
The modem.
the modem. I think we talked about this before. It's a C1 chip. So basically, Apple is going to be, it looks like Apple is trying to have all their devices, all Apple, all everything. So, we have Apple Silicon. And so now it looks like they may be doing their own modem. So maybe that'll get a block of time to talk about because I would think they would probably have to if they're doing this to fit into this phone that wouldn't fit in the standard iPhone.
Well, according to the analysts, they say the new C1 chip won't arrive until 2026, but
Interesting.
they don't say in what product.
Capacity.
Yeah, maybe it's this that low budget MacBook that we talked about, or maybe it'll show up in the iPhone 18s.
Maybe. And I did see some people talking about the, I guess, next progression. So 2025, allegedly the Air. which seemed more and more like it's not an alleged, but I guess we won't officially know until we see the event. And then 2026 is a foldable Apple phone, and then 2027 is the 20-year anniversary of the iPhone phone. I guess, what are you thinking about? Does that progression make any sense, or
Well,
is it logical?
I mean, probably not logical. We'll have to see if Apple has succumbed to pressure
Peer
to
pressure.
announce and release a foldable phone. I made the speculation that the reason why they came out with an iPhone, or they're coming out with an iPhone Air, is to test the thinness of the iPhone Air to see, if it causes any issues.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't cause any issues, then slapping two iPhone Airs together would make this foldable iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to see if Apple has folded under the pressure. Again, those foldable phones are with the Samsungs are the most
Mm.
notable ones. Them joints are expensive, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I have been an early adopter of Apple and iPhones particularly,
Mm-hmm.
but a expensive first run of a foldable phone from iPhone, I doubt if I'm going to, I say that
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
flip it for 2 years from now, right? But I don't
He's like, I'm getting
believe,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't believe I want to be a tester for the first foldable iPhone. If you remember, those first Samsung phones that came out had problems.
Mm.
The fold was too obvious in the middle. The screens wasn't up to snuff. People was
The
getting
screens were
sand,
buckling.
and they were getting sand and
Mm.
particles behind it, and they were expensive. So I
Yeah.
would assume that Apple is going to have those same sort of growing pains. So as far
Yeah.
as a foldable phone, I'm gonna wait till generation 2. So that may be 2029 or 2028. So I'll wait
Yeah.
till then.
And I'm still not on the foldable train because they're not foldable. They're flip phones because they have a hinge, and nobody can make me believe otherwise unless Apple can find a way, because that's the issue with the Samsung foldable phones even now, is that when you close it on that hinge on the inside screen, when I've seen people with it and they fold it out, that the way that the screen lies, it's not flush with the, what's the word I'm looking for? With the outer part, the body. I think maybe that's the word I'm looking for. And it's just one of those things where, can they make it where this screen you have for when you flip it out, is it where you can have, two separate screens that are continuous, but that when you flip it out, that screen itself isn't being flipped? Is there a way that they can make it to where the difference, the space in between the quote unquote hinge, when you open it up, it merges the two sides of the phone seamlessly, where you don't have to worry about the buckling of that, but it still gives you like that seamless look. So I don't know. Uh I'm not, I don't care about the fold or the flip. I really
Ultimately, you
don't.
don't care.
Ultimately, I don't. And they will have to really do something to wow me to be like, okay, I was wrong. And if I
Mhm,
am, of course, I have no problem admitting that. But I
mhm.
just don't. I don't see it. I don't
Got
see
it.
it. And good luck to them with that. The same with this Air, this iPhone 7 Air. I don't see it with this flip. I don't see it. I would much rather them invest time and money in something else other than these two things, because I don't see it for them. But that's just me. Maybe there are people out there who are clamoring for an Apple flip phone or clamoring for a super thin iPhone. It's not me. I'm not their demographic. But to those of you who are, I hope you get what you want. Um, But that's just going to mean I'm not going to get what I want because they're focusing on these two things that I don't care about. But I digress. One last thing. Do you think we'll get a one last thing this year? And if so, what might it be?
Nope. Apple's got their hands full with in the AI, however
Mm-hmm.
that looks. So between the AI and these tariffs and this whatever they're trying to do as far as keeping people buying these phones year after year, they've got a lot of work. So I don't think we're going to get any surprises this go around.
And do you think they're gonna, similar to what they did at the previous event, where they kind of glossed over Apple Intelligence, when they go through the rundown for iOS, what 26?
So
Are they going to gloss over through this?
no, they're going to slow roll more features because Apple Intelligence is still there and it still works. They haven't scrapped the whole thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the length, the writing tools will get better. Hopefully Apple just gets rid of the whole image, not gets rid of, but stops focusing on memojis and stop focusing on image
Image
playground.
Playground.
Nobody use I don't even use it, stop focusing on that part of the intelligence and focus on the what I want, to where Siri is truly a personal assistant based on all the information that Apple has for me, right? They still ain't figured
Right.
that out. So focus on that. But in the meantime, they will start to add more features like writing tools will get better
Mm-hmm.
and summaries will get better and them surfacing more relevant information will get better based on the time of day, based on what you're doing on the phones or
Mm-hmm.
the devices that time of day. They'll get
Mm-hmm.
better at that. But again, nobody cares about that, right? They want the chat GPT AI from Apple, and Apple ain't there
Mm-hmm.
yet. So they got a lot of work to
No.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, all dropping is in what, about 10 days. So, we'll finally get to see what they Apple have been working on, and to see if the slow drip of information that we've been getting the whole time is indeed accurate, and see, what's behind the curtain. And get your Apple cards ready, get your money ready if you are in the market to pick up some new devices, because they will be coming for your money to make sure that this Q4 goes out with a bang. Kind of related, but kind of not. Apple Invites is trying. As we all know, I'm no fan of Apple Invites.
Have you been back and used it since then or
I
no?
have not.
Mm.
I update it every time, but I was like, I don't. No, thanks. I've had my fill. And based on the release notes that I've seen from each time it updates, it doesn't seem to address some of the issues that I had. Maybe I'll try it again. Maybe I won't.
Yeah, because it sounds
I
like
don't know.
a lot of the issues you were having back then was new stuff and stuff wasn't quite working. My speculation is they've ironed some of those things out
Mm-hmm.
and are slowly but surely adding new features. Like for instance, like you are highlighting, the newest version of Apple Invites app lets you add a widget to your
Mm-hmm.
home screen so you can kind
Mm-hmm.
of see the quote unquote countdown of
Countdown.
whatever invite or thing you're planning with the Apple Invites app. So that's pretty much all it is. I see the potential of Apple
Mm-hmm.
Invites, especially as a person who regularly gets evites for kids' birthday parties, to where you got to see ads everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You got to all this. I'm looking for an
Dodge the ads to try and click on
yeah,
yes,
to
I accept.
RSVP. Right, right.
Right.
I'm not looking forward to that. I mean, I don't like that part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely looking for an alternative. And since I'm in the Apple ecosystem, it would naturally
Mm-hmm.
be invites. So we just got to wait for it to get better and better and better and better, to where finally you can actually set up an event and accurately notify your um,
Guests.
attendees, of what's going on, whether they be in the Apple ecosystem or not, right? Because according to Apple, this can work as just a link. You click on the link. If you're
Right.
on Android, you'll see most of the same stuff. Now you won't get everything, but
Yeah.
you'll get the
You'll get
important
the
stuff.
basic gist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but
So
Apple
yeah,
seems
and
like
they
they got some
timed
work to do.
this. Yeah, and they timed this to basically come with the all dropping event because this countdown, it's on your home screen. It's a widget, and it
Mhm.
kind of gives you basically the countdown to this new event. And so they kind of, because I think this was launched on Tuesday, the update to Apple Invites. And this is around the time that they announced, the new all dropping event. So, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I give it another chance. Um, I'm still a little bit gun shy because it was a lot of nonsense.
Mm.
But in any event, they're trying and they are trying to make this work because when it first dropped, I was super excited about it. Like you said, already in the ecosystem, pictures linked, sent out, everybody takes their pictures. It all is create an album, all these easy things, easy to connect, easy to let people know change. They have this feature that's supposed to work. Maybe it works now, where you can send out broadcast messages to all the attendees if something changes, or hey, parking is this or that, or all these other things. So hopefully they'll get this worked out so that we can have an easier way to handle events and such. Um, your boy, uh, Elon Musk. We talked about him. I think a couple weeks ago when he was, complaining that Apple won't let his app Gronk be number one in the App Store, and he said he was going to sue Apple. Well, he actually followed through on one of his threats for once. Normally, he just kind of is a yapper and not a doer, but he is actually a doer on this go around. We've seen him ranting on Twitter about how Apple is rigging it for specifically Open AI and no other AI company has a chance to be number one, and he's sued them, both Apple and OpenAI, for basically collusion, for keeping not only his app, but he means his app out of the number one spot, but he frames it as all other AI companies. So it's really interesting that he's come at it this way to say because Apple has with their Apple Intelligence, they are using OpenAI ChatGPT as the kind of next level search. And he's basically trying to say because Apple is using ChatGPT as one of the sources for their
Mhm.
Apple Intelligence, that means that they are working together and that there's no way that anybody else could actually be number one. Even though when Apple at first announced Apple Intelligence, they said they're starting with ChatGPT and will eventually, roll in other companies. He's completely kind of like ignored that fact and only said because they have this that they're working together on this, that this is why nobody else can be number one. None of it makes sense. Craig Federighi already said that, he reiterated what I just said, that other apps would potentially roll in. His claim that nobody else or any other AI company has been number one in the App Store is patently false. In January, DeepSeek was number one. Apple's talked about how its app store's ratings, its must-haves, its number one, is based on a multitude of things that they don't just go and cherry pick and say, I want you to be number one this week, you to be number one next week. Is based on an actual metrics and calculations to actually bring that out. So I think this is just I have to follow through and make it seem like I'm, pounding my chest to do something, from Elon when it's probably actually going to turn out to be a nothing burger.
Yeah, Musk says in the lawsuit, they pulled some quotes from the lawsuit or information from the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
And this says, quote, this means that if iPhone users want to use a generative AI chatbot for key tasks on their devices, they have no choice but to use ChatGPT, even if they would prefer to use more innovative and imaginative products like AI's Grok. Um, I'm not sure what he is trying to pull with this.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, Apple is not shadow banning Grok.
Right.
Apple made it very clear that AI Grok is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen so in some of the news that people have come out as as a result of using Grok. You know, some of the homophobic and racist and all the other things. And for those reasons, Apple's like, nah, because they say it in the quote, their response. They say our goal is to offer a safe discovery for
Mm-hmm.
users and valuable opportunities, collaborating with many to increase app visibility in rapidly evolving categories. The keyword is safe. According
Mm-hmm.
to Apple, my speculation is Grok ain't all that safe. So
Mm-hmm.
we are not about to put it in any must have apps. You know, that's what one of the things Elon was upset about, that AI chatbots and super apps in its app store rankings, and it has dragged out its app store review process for those competitors. And he also mentions there's another part that he says, yeah, the lawsuit cites the App Store rankings and editorial features as evidence of the collusion between Apple and OpenAI. For instance, the lawsuit takes issue with the XAI app never appearing in Apple's quote must have apps guide on the App Store. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
what Elon is saying is because they haven't promoted Grok
Mm-hmm.
or any other app, then there must be collusion, because the only app that you can
Obviously, I have the
use,
superior product.
right, and Apple is purposely surfacing OpenAI, which Elon and what's the guy that runs OpenAI? What's the other guy's name?
Sam Altman.
Yeah, they've got beef, and Musk feels like the odd man out because Altman and Musk got beef.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of all the issues with Grok, now he feels like Musk and Apple have beef because Apple is buddy buddy with his enemy, you know. So it's like,
So
oh,
you
see,
must be my now. You're my enemy too.
now you're my enemy too. And this is pretty much all that is. So this will
Yeah.
probably go nowhere, but because Elon Musk is loud, we're
Mm.
talking about it on the show.
Yep. 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 And it's really just a vanity issue. I'm not no one's picked me first to be on their team, or I'm not one of the cool kids, or I'm not one of the popular people. And so he brought a lawsuit. Again, I think it's a big nothing burger, and it likely won't go anywhere, but he gets to puff up his chest and make a little noise, and then it'll all just fizzle and die. But until then, he gets to have his moment in the sun, so to speak. That's going to wrap up the lowdown. We're going to head on over to second string where we talk other tech. So I was actually on Twitter and I saw this account talking about a whistleblower. It was an account that I had ever seen before. I didn't follow, so I kind of took it with a grain of salt until I read the full thread and I saw the screenshots from the actual whistleblower's account of things. So, Doge, we all know who they are and what they've done, but apparently in their quest to quote unquote find fraud within Social Security, they have potentially made all 300 million Americans susceptible to identity theft. And of course, we all know the dark web, we have data breaches all the time. That's not uncommon. What is uncommon is that a government agency has basically facilitated this. So there's this whistleblower who is claiming that Doge officials created a live copy of the NumDent database. So basically, in this database, it has all of the PII data surrounding each and every individual who has applied for a social security card. So think of when you have kids, when you apply to get a social security card, name, birthday, parents' name, where you've lived, all of these things that usually people have to kind of cobble together to get your identity. It's all in one database, and it's everybody who's ever submitted to SSA, the Social Security Administration, to get a Social Security number. So it's been a bunch of back and forth. Initially, Doge wanted this information, like I said, to root out fraud. There was a bunch of lawsuits back and forth saying this isn't legal. You can't have access to this. It was no, you can't have it. Then you can have it. This is illegal. We got to stop it. So a bunch of back and forth. So apparently, what is happened based on what this whistleblower is saying, the big balls guy, the one who is the reason behind
Mhm.
the
Little kid.
the kid, the 19-year-old who worked for Elon Musk, and the kid behind why all well the reason they're using behind of having the National Guard in DC. Apparently, he got beat up. And that's why all of it's the crime is so rapid, and now we have to have the what do you call it, the National Guard. So all this is this kid. So the from what I understand in reading some of the text from not just this article but from the whistleblower statement as well, Doge wanted to create a test environment, a cloud test environment that they could manage. And typically, when you create a test environment, you normally create either test data or you mask the data so you don't know who it really is, or you anonymize it in some format so that the actual live data from production isn't in a test environment, because typically test environments are less secure. What the issue is, they got the live production data that's running for Social Security and put it on this test environment without permission, even though it was a bunch of back and forth saying you can't do it. This is against the law. They did it anyway. So now this whistleblower is saying that this is what happened. The live data from production from all 330 or 300 million American citizens who've applied and received Social Security numbers is now in this less insecure test environment that the Doge people run. And this is what he's claiming. And if this is the case, all of our stuff is just out there. And I don't know if it's pure negligence and, quite frankly, stupidity that this was allowed to happen, because anybody who works in IT, DBAs, database administrators, anybody who's worked in big data, ETL, any of these things know that when you create these test environments, you use either fake data, mass data, or anonymized data that doesn't tie back to real people. So it's either outright negligence and stupidity, or it was intentional to get this data in a separate environment so that people can do whatever they're trying to do with this data.
Well, according to the Social Security Administration, they have sent a response to this story, and they have denied storing any data in this insecure environment, and said that they are not aware of any compromise. The commissioner, Frank Bisigiano, and Social Security
Sure.
Administration takes all whistleblower complaints seriously. SSA stores all personal data in secure environments that have robust safeguards in place to protect vital information. The data referenced in the complaint is stored in a long standing environment used by SSA and walled off from the internet. High level career SSA officials have administrative access to the system with oversight by the SSA's information security team. We are not aware of any compromise to this environment and remain dedicated to protecting sensitive personal data. So, this is a he said, she
She
said,
said, yep.
but the fact that Elon Musk came in and put his own people in there and has support from the SSA Chief Information Officer, Aram Mogadassi, who has worked with Musk at
Elon's other
Starlink,
companies. Yep.
yeah, and the other ones. So you put two and two together, and you can speculate with some pretty
Level of
much,
certainty.
yeah, level of certainty that there's some funny business going on.
Yeah.
Is this the specific funny business?
Yeah.
We shall see. Until
Mm-hmm.
we won't know until either the data's leaked, all of our social security numbers are leaked, or if they finally get Doge and they get finished getting Musk out of the government um, as a whole. And I don't see any
Yeah.
of those happening anytime soon.
Right. And if you notice, the current SSA administrator, when he said they aren't aware, you you know, you kind of have to finesse the lingo sometimes, um, to to what's the word that they tell people that
Plausible deniability.
plausible deniability. That's what I was looking for. But in any event, the fact that this was even an initial conversation that they wanted to do this, I think that it shows a severe lack in judgment, and I think a severe lack of knowledge of how these types of systems work for them to even say this is what we want. And we've seen, especially earlier in this administration, I say earlier as if this administration is only 7 months old, that whatever Doge wanted, Doge got. So it's one of those things where this whistleblower doesn't really say, from what I've seen, when this allegedly happened. So, did this happen in the very beginning? Has this happened recently? Because to me, if it happened earlier, and I'm using earlier in air quotes in this administration, because again, only about 7 or 8 months old, it all likelihood, if this is what, because apparently Big Balls is somebody really important to them, this 19-year-old, that they would have given him, what he wanted. And a lot of times it's like we don't find out about this until it's too late, until all 300 Americans' information is, compromised, whether it be by a foreign entity, whether it be by someone within the government to use this for something else. It's one of those things where what can you really do if this data has been compromised? If it's been stored somewhere that's not secure, who has access to it and what do they plan to do with it? They may not plan to do with anything with it initially. And it's just like, is it just do we just put this in another bucket of things of when, we expect the next shoe to drop? Because again, in the upside down, the bad place that we're living in, it's like every day is something else. So is this just another something else that we just kind of have to wait and see? Is all of our information just gonna be out there free for all for anybody to have and to use any way they please?
Right.
Because this administration's president has already said he's a president. He can do whatever he wants. He said that in an actual interview in front of reporters. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Oh no.
We shall see.
And God help us is all I can say. All right. That's gonna wrap it up for the lowdown. I mean, not the lowdown, the second string. Let's head on into for the culture, where we talk about what's going on around us. And I have to say, I don't know, my screen has been acting really weird. But for the culture, Cracker Barrel has made quite a splash on the worldwide stage. So, Cracker Barrel, the old down home mass chain of cooking, decided to not only change their logo, but change the way their whole brand, the way the building looks. It has a very distinct look on the outside and a very distinct look on the inside. Um, Gone was the white man sitting beside a barrel. And in its stead is a unique shaped yellow symbol with Cracker Barrel written in the middle. And you would have thought that the Cracker Barrel brand called everybody's mama a bald headed, not nice word. The way that these people just lost their complete mind about this man and this barrel being taken off of a logo. So we've always said the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Is it just another outrage, fake outrage that someone can kind of tag onto and make it a thing to kind of take focus off of some real stuff that's going on? Or do you think people really cared this much that the Cracker Barrel changed their logo, changed the way the building looks on the outside, got rid of all that junk store you have to go through to get into the actual restaurant? Do you think people really care about that, or it's just something for them to rage about?
Do they care about it enough to complain on social media? Sure. But that's not nothing new for
Right,
anything on the internet.
right,
Anybody puts anything on the internet, somebody's going to have something to say about it, right? So
right.
this is par for the course. I am surprised that Cracker Barrel, from the looks of it, is starting to ditch or think about ditching the new revamped logo. They haven't said what they're going to scrap or what they're going to bring back. And Cracker Barrel is listening, and they're um, deciding to about face on some of these changes. I think primarily as it relates to the logo. In addition to the logo change, in addition to, like Nica said, as far as the store or the restaurant changes, they still have those quirky things that you can buy at Cracker Barrel. It's just not, like Nika mentioned, they have a specific section that resembled a store when you walk into a Cracker Barrel. Now, it's been years since I've been in Cracker Barrel, but the last time I went, you got to walk through what looks like a general store, like an old school general store with these weird
Yeah.
looking candies and treats and trinkets and things of that nature. That is kind of like been moved to the side on the wall where you can kind of see it as you're eating. Also in the dining room, they've open aired it, right? Before it was like they had the booths and it was kind of sectioned off. Now it's kind of open air seating to where you can kind of see through the entire restaurant. So all of that adds up to a lot of change. Again, is that a real problem? Do people really eat at Cracker Barrel like that? Probably not. Maybe they are adding on, like you mentioned, some of this woke stuff. The fact that they removed the guy and the barrel off of the logo, the fact that they rearranged the restaurants to look more modern, similar to how McDonald's, similar to how Pizza Hut, similar to how Starbucks, similar to how Taco Bell, all of them kind of went to this modern looking
Modern
building.
look.
You know, you add all that up, I guess that's enough for people to be upset. But again, I'm surprised that Cracker Barrel is looks like they're about to start to change some things after what, a week that
Yeah,
they're already starting to change some stuff?
they've rolled it back already. The Cracker Barrel's Facebook page said, "quote We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel. We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our quote old timer will remain. At Cracker Barrel, it'll always be." It's always been and will always be about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family. As a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcome you to our table soon. So they acquiesced.
So yeah, maybe it's in response to Target's news. Target, rolled back their DEI and people got mad and boycotted Target so much so that their stock prices crumbled, and they have recently replaced their CEO. Now the CEO went from CEO to Target to CEO of the board of directors for Target, so it really wasn't a demotion, but they
Right.
are making some changes, and maybe
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel's like, look, we don't even want them problems. We tried to change some things. Our consumers, our customers spoke up, and we are listening to their feedback. I guess that's how business works. It must be nice because not everybody gets that quick response.
Right.
Earlier everybody started rolling back DEI and people got mad, but nothing really changed. Companies still
Yeah.
rolled back DEI. So it's like, all right, enough people got upset about the DEI. Nothing really changed with the exception of Target got the brunt of it because they are just the poster child of
Yeah.
DEI, and that's just circumstance, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, must be nice to have that kind of influence to where a major company makes a major change and
Yeah.
the people complain and the company listens. That's very few and far between. So I guess shout out to them because it worked the way it's supposed to.
Everybody, everybody ain't able, I guess.
Must be
Isn't what they
nice.
say? Must be nice. Well, I did see this one guy before we transition into the hookup who basically said it kind of makes sense, but I guess when you think about anything in these kind of contexts, you can kind of make anything fit. But he was saying that as we saw with Red Lobster, how they kind of tanked because Red Lobster owned the land that the building sat on. And when they went through all of their selling and all of those things, it was the land that was the biggest investment. And that's why they had to enter the bankruptcy because they sold the land
Mm,
and that was their biggest moneymaker. So this guy was basically saying, this is why all of these companies you mentioned before, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, Starbucks, why they are making their buildings look generic
mhm,
and less distinct. Because when they are ready to sell a location or a franchisee is ready to sell a location, they can sell it a lot easier because you don't have the distinct Pizza Hut roof. You don't have the distinct shape of the building. You now have this very standard cookie cutter modern looking building that can be changed into anything. Because a lot of times in old Pizza Huts, if something else comes in, you're like, oh yeah, XYZ business, at the old Pizza Hut. So his thought process on this is it was because of Wall Street. It's because of business and investments that these companies are making the signage basic, making the buildings all cookie cutter. So when it's time to sell, they'll get easy buyers who won't have to tear down a building and put up something new. They can just use the existing, very modern, very standard, very cookie cutter looking building and not have to go through all the hassle. And I was like, you know what? I can see that actually being a thing. So yeah, but in any event, Cracker Barrel is back to Uncle Herschel and the old timer, and everybody who was against this got their way. All right. All right. let's head into the hookup for our tech tip of the week.
All right, this is a Apple Wallet hookup. Apple has recently this year started sending out promotional messages when you open up the Apple Wallet. And if you want to turn those messages off, this hookup is for you. So basically, what you do is you open a wallet app using iOS 20, well, not using iOS 26 or later, but open up the wallet app, tap the three dotted icon in the top right corner, and choose notifications in the menu. In the section titled In Wallet Messaging, slide the switch offers and promotions to the off position. Again, like I mentioned, I think this works in the current versions. I think iOS 18. If not, we'll find out in 10 days to when we can turn it off when iOS 26 is publicly available. So that is my hookup for the week. If you don't want to see ads and promotions in your wallet app, there is a way to turn those off.
Nice. And with that, that's going to wrap up this week's show. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure, you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva all over the interwebs. You can find our show as well. We are at SnubWestCast on all the social media platforms. You can also head on over to our website, snubwestcast.com, to find out how to connect, how to comment, how to share, and how to support our show. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.